Thank you, Patriots, for that warm welcome. Wow. Good morning, Iran in America. It's an honor to stand with you once again while the regime is back on its heels. So, distinguished guests, dear friends of a free Iran, and courageous members of the Iranian resistance, every time I come to gatherings like this one, I'm reminded of the struggle for freedom in Iran, and it's not an abstract political debate. It is a human story. It's a story written with sacrifice, resilience, courage, and extraordinary moral clarity. And all throughout history, this movement and that story has had faces and names. A few days ago, we marked the 40th day commemorating the fall of two courageous MEK members, Commander Vahid Bani Amarian, a 34-year-old electrical engineer, and Abul Hassan Montazer, a 67-year-old architectural engineer and a veteran political prisoner who also endured imprisonment under the Shah's dictatorship before ultimately giving his life in the struggle against the mullah's tyranny. I salute them. And I salute their comrades in arms, a total of 8 of them that stood firm till the end and have fallen for freedom in the span of 2 weeks. The regime charged these MEK heroes with enmity against God, rebellion, targeting security centers, and trying to obtain weapons. But in reality, their true offense was courage. Their true offense was refusing to bow. And like millions across the world, I was profoundly moved and deeply proud when I saw the video clip of the 6 MEK heroes standing shoulder to shoulder in the prison yard of Ghazal Hasar before being taken to execution, steadfast, proud, fearless, and knowing that death awaited them. They met their fate not with despair, but with defiance, singing together, "Resistance battalions, arise." Think about the moral force required for human beings to knowingly move toward execution while singing an anthem of resistance and hope. And the regime believed it was sending a message of fear, but instead these heroes sang a message of immortality. And I salute the 15 more young and defiant protesters executed for their roles in the 2026 uprising. These young souls whose only crime was demanding freedom. And I salute the other freedom lovers who were killed by the regime because they wanted freedom, including a number of Iranian Kurdish and Baluchi nationals recently murdered by the regime. Freedom has never been granted willingly by tyrants. It has always required the sacrifice from men and women prepared to stand against oppression, regardless of the cost. And that spirit lives today in Iran. And nowhere is it more organized, more disciplined, or more persistent than within the National Council of Resistance of Iran, led by the NCRI and the MEK. For years, the policy of appeasement tried to erase this reality. One of the central objectives of the appeasement lobby has been to marginalize, demonize, and create taboo about the organized resistance, especially the MEK and Mrs. Maryam Rajavi. Why? Because the existence of a democratic alternative destroys the false narrative that the world only has 2 choices, the mullahs or chaos. The Iranian resistance has shattered this lie. And let's be honest, what exists here is historically unique. Where else do we see a resistance movement with a clear democratic platform, a structured coalition, a commitment to free elections, separation of religion and state, gender equality, minority rights, and a non-nuclear Iran? Where else do we see women leading at every level of the movement? And where else do we see an organized network inside the country capable of mobilizing resistance under conditions of brutal repression? And this movement didn't appear overnight. It survived massacres. It survived execution. It has survived terrorism. It survived demonization campaigns spanning decades. And today it stands stronger, more experienced, and more credible than ever before. And one reason for that strength is the younger generation. I've seen these young members of the resistance myself in Europe, on stages like this one, speaking with intelligence, confidence, and conviction. They're dynamic, educated, and fearless. But more importantly, we see this new generation throughout Iran. We see them in the uprisings. We see them in the prisons. We see them in the resistance units. And despite everything the regime has done, despite the censorship, propaganda, intimidations, executions, fear, the new generation continues to rise. And that terrifies the regime. Because these young people are not buying the regime's lies. They're not surrendering to despair. They are not falling for another dangerous illusion either, the illusion that restoring dictatorship under another name. In recent years, supporters of Reza Pahlavi, the self-styled Shah, or heir of the Shah, or as many Iranians now like to call him, the Clown Prince, have increasingly revealed the true nature of their movement. And this is scary. Across European cities, including the UK and in Germany, Pahlavi supporters openly glorify SAVAK, the Shah's notorious secret police. And that was created to torture intellectuals, spread lies, and frighten society. We now see individuals marching with large flags bearing the SAVAK emblems, wearing shirts and jackets displaying the insignia of an organization associated with torture chambers, executions, ripped fingernails, and the brutal repression of political dissidents. Other supporters of Reza Pahlavi have gone even further, producing rap songs openly promoting SAVAK and calling for the murder of MEK members. Let's be absolutely clear. It's not freedom of expression. It's vile incitement to violence. It is the glorification of torture and even murder. And in democratic societies, openly advocating for violence against political opponents is not only morally despicable, but it also could constitute a prosecutable criminal offense. And what became of the so-called 50,000, 100,000, 150,000 recruits, the so-called immortal guards? We were told by Pahlavi they would rise up and defend the defenseless protesters during the nationwide uprising in January 2026. Too many have instead emerged as online mobs and street-level hooligans across Europe, threatening, intimidating, and harassing Iranians who reject both the ruling theocracy and the remnants of the Shah's dictatorship. The Iranian people deserve a better choice between two forms of tyranny. And we must also remember an essential historic truth. The crimes of the Shah's regime helped to create the conditions that enabled Khomeini to hijack the 1979 revolution. And by imprisoning, torturing, or executing democratic activists and crushing organizations like the MEK, the Shah decimated Iran's democratic opposition. And when the revolution came, and many of the democratic forces capable of resisting clerical extremism had already been weakened or destroyed. And that lesson matters today. The future of Iran must belong neither to the turban nor the crown. It must belong to the Iranian people. The United States must treat the Iranian resistance as an irreplaceable ally and recognize the right of the Iranian people to resist tyranny. America and the Western world should recognize the legitimacy of the resistance units confronting the IRGC and the machinery of repression. America should end the long-time policies that have resulted from decades of the policy of appeasement, which stigmatize the democratic opposition while the regime continues executions, hostage-taking, terrorism, and nuclear blackmail. America must hold the regime accountable for crimes against humanity, including the massacre of political prisoners, the current wave of executions of these bright, beautiful young lives. And America should engage seriously with the NCRI as a democratic alternative, because the Iranian people deserve the right to choose their future freely. As Mrs. Rajavi has repeatedly emphasized, and to hold free and fair elections within 6 months after the fall of the regime. Now, next month, on Saturday, June 20th, as many as 100,000 people are expected to rally in Paris in support of Maryam Rajavi and her platform for a future Iran. So everything the mullahs have been doing is clearly backfiring, and the momentum has shifted in favor of this movement. And let me conclude with this. No dictator is permanent. Not the Third Reich of Hitler, not the fascism of Mussolini, not the Soviet Union, not apartheid, not the Berlin Wall, and not the Shah, and not this regime of theocracy. The courage of Iran's defiant prisoners, its rebellious youth, its resistance units, its organized democratic opposition, and most important of all, the leadership of Mrs. Rajavi has already changed the course of history. And as an American, I cannot help but think of the words that Thomas Jefferson famously said: "The tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants. It is its natural manure." I truly believe that the day will come when Iran is a free, democratic, secular republic and at peace with its people and the world, and the sooner the better. And when that day comes, history will remember those who stood on the side of freedom. Thank you.